Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to the weekly movie show with the boys Connor.
Hello.
And Benny.
Hi there.
Well, it seems every year Super Bowl comes rolling through and so do a whole heap of trailers. So this episode is purely dedicated towards racking those up. Is that the right expression? I don't know.
No,
Yes,
that's
we
not
rack up trailers on this show. That's what we do.
Rack those trailers up there.
What is your guys' experience with American football and the Super Bowl? Connor, you're originally from Canada. Because it's totally, I'm just not across it at all. I'm not across NFL in any way, shape, or form.
Occasionally, I'll watch the Super Bowl, and then this might be an interesting thing to get into, and then completely forget about it until the next Super Bowl comes around. But yeah, typically it's not really in my wheelhouse.
I had a bunch of friends who played fantasy football for a while. I have actually watched one American foosball game.
Do you say foosball?
Yeah.
Foosball.
I watched one.
This was in 2012 when I was in America.
Oh,
I watched
live.
it in an actual Coyote Ugly bar. So there were women dancing on the tables. Don't remember much of the game, except the Avengers trailer debuted during that game. So that was very exciting
You're like,
for me.
get out of the way.
Yeah, it's the best part of the whole game. So yes, I have actually watched one.
Okay.
Didn't understand it,
I have watched.
but I don't understand Australian football.
I've played it one time. It's good fun to play.
Nice. Did you get all the pads and everything?
No.
Oh, that's the best part.
Aussie rules, mate.
Yeah.
Just go at it.
Wait, you played Aussie rules?
Aussie
Football?
rules
Actually, that's
gridiron.
that's probably a good place to segue into what we've been watching. I know
Is it?
we said we
Have
were
you been
going to
Have
cover
you
something else that we'll cover in a sec, but I'm going to take over for just a moment. I watched that 3-part Netflix series about Aaron Hernandez, the football player who was convicted of murder in 2015 or something, and allegedly. Potentially, he was found not guilty of murder of 2 other people, but it's complicated. But anyway, the I don't know if you guys know much about CTE, but the traumatic brain injuries that people have in combat sports, as well as sports such as this.
Is this what the Will Smith movie Concussion was about?
Yeah.
Cool.
And it was really
It
was so interesting.
Trauma, something or other.
Yeah, I thought it was really.
For.
I thought it was really quite compelling and very similar to Making a Murderer, but with a few other elements to it. But overall, like a really, really interesting piece, and this is the impact these guys have. When you think about rugby, there's no protective. There's so the guys.
Sorry, Georgie. I just want to be clear. I do not think about rugby.
Okay.
All right.
No, but it's just interesting that the protection that these NFL players wear actually works against them because they go that much harder.
Well, they don't. I mean, I say in inverted commas. They don't tackle properly. It gives them
Don't say that to their face.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's right. Inverted commas, guys. The false sense of protection means that they just. I mean, God, it's fucking dangerous the way that they tackle. It's really crazy.
And these guys are huge.
Yeah, and CTE is not nearly as big a problem in rugby, union or league or Australian rules football, although it is still around because it's it's a contact sport.
Yep.
Yeah, CTE is it's fucked. It's really big in the military.
Okay.
It's really big in sports like that.
Combat sports.
Oddly enough, not as much in certain combat sports. It really depends on boxing. It's really bad in.
Yes, because they're taking that much more head trauma.
Yeah, because you can get hit and be concussed several times in a night, whereas MMA does a lot to try and limit that to, I don't know, once a night.
It was really big last Halloween when I knocked my 2 front teeth out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not even in combat sports.
That was fucking rock and roll, man.
It was not rock and roll. It was me tripping over on the road.
Yeah, I saw you. Blood all down your foot.
All the way down.
Awesome. So that was
interesting documentary.
Yeah, I recommend it. Netflix just putting out some great content. Amongst that includes Uncut Gems.
Have you've watched it, Ben?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
So Connor, how far through it are you?
Oh, fuck.
You fucked up.
I fucked up. I've only gotten fuck. I only got up halfway through it, and just because I was yeah, but hair. I don't know how I fucked up that badly, but I didn't align my timing right, and assumed I had more time, and then I could only watch half of it, and before we record. Yeah, no, it is one of the worst films to cut halfway through. Because it's such a non. In fact, you know what? I actually take that back. Maybe it's a good film to cut halfway through because it's a bit non-stop, that film.
Release, yeah.
Yeah, so tense, I can have a bit of a moment to breathe, and then I'll jump back in.
From what you did see, what is your sort of non-spoiler thoughts on the film?
Love the soundtrack. Yes. Really big fan of that.
I was saying to Ben, it's kind of like a combination between Vangelis, Blade Runner, and like a trippy 70s psychedelic.
Ooh, yeah. I totally get what you mean, and I agree.
It's got that like haunting sort of saxophone horn thing with the big reverb on it.
It did feel very kind of 70s/80s, especially like the intro, the first 5 minutes. But yeah, I'm really digging this so far. It's a weird time to review it, but sounds like something that I'd be saying about a series. Yeah, exactly. Really digging this so far.
Yeah.
But it's a really kind of interesting look into that gambler's mindset, and it's never enough. It's I have a feeling I know where it's going to go. I think I know how it's going to wrap up, but which is not particularly good.
Did it wrap up where you thought it would wrap up, and what are your overall thoughts on the film, Benny?
So just a bit of context. This is a film by the brothers Josh and Benny Safdie, who I have been kind of in love with since their last movie, Good Time, starring Robert Pattinson. Also the same composer, who did an amazing job on that one too.
I've got to get on that.
That's a really cool movie, and it has that very similar propulsive, like this is one night in this guy's life feeling. Just so engaging and kind of tense and stressful at the same time. And it's really good to see someone, or these guys who had such a strong debut, follow it up with another great film. I really enjoyed this one. And start to finish.
Killer. Props to Adam Sandler, man.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler, like, I think if you cast somebody that, I was trying to describe it to you, if you cast the wrong person in that role, they're just like, you're despicable, you're a horrible person. I can't believe this is the protagonist. But having just that little sprinkling of Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore charm, the character becomes more like, dude, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're burying yourself further instead of being like, oh, this guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. I think people
our
age,
is a piece of shit, but it's just adds him being cast in there and him being so brilliant in the role. It adds another dimension to this film that is so satisfying.
I think people our age are kind of predisposed to liking Adam Sandler to a degree. Can you imagine the response to this movie if he didn't like every 5-10 years turn in a really great performance in a really good movie? Like if this had just been the guy from Jack and Jill, he was like, oh, he can do this. Unfortunately, he does have those kind of sporadic moments of brilliance here and there. That
what? It makes me respect him more.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like this thing. Like when he does these shitty movies, he's just like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna like if you're gonna pay to see these movies, like if he can get money for it, he's like, why wouldn't you?"
Dude, I think he inked a $275 million deal with Netflix
for another 4 films.
Was it 4 or 5?
Maybe 5. I don't know, but it's like it's more than 2. Like fuck me.
Not bad at all.
And the level of effort that he needs to put, like realistically, that he needs to put into most of those films.
Yeah.
Like if 1 out of 5 of those is an uncut gems, fucking I'm on board. Sweet, it's probably worth its money in and of itself.
I was skimming the AV Club review for this one the other day, and the first comment, because I've got them ranked by like popularity, the first comment was like, "How the fuck did this comment section turn into such a shit fight?" I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what's going on here. But it was really amazing. Like some people, and I'm assuming maybe they're people younger than us, just hate the shit out of Adam Sandler. Oh. And a lot of the response to this movie has been overwhelmingly negative regarding him specifically. And just, I'm like,
to this, but why?
I don't know. Like, I'm like, sure enough, I can see why people would be like hating on him for being someone who has all this potential and never really utilizes it. That kind of makes sense. But in the era of Hollywood kind of going through a mini reckoning and all of these dark, horrible secrets coming out about people, Adam Sandler seems like a pretty cool guy, relatively.
Yeah.
So
in the
like,
grand scheme of things, he's coming out pretty like...
yeah, like can't we just have something nice here?
From what I've heard, like he's got very stable jobs in the Happy Madison Productions. Like they've all long
Definitely
time
looks after his
collaborators
friends and family,
friends. And you know what? Put it this way. If he churns out 5 amazing performances, like truly like uncut gems level, I mean, you know, then you don't have to fuck around all these crap. You just go watch these 5 Adam Sandler movies. You got the best of the best. Boom.
Can you imagine if like Daniel Day-Lewis, in between all his projects, just decided to go off and do these like
Jack and
shitty
Jill.
holiday films? How fucking good!
Dude.
I mean,
Little
realistically,
Nicky.
that's not exactly what he's doing, but like he's got these really good projects that come around every once in a while, and then in between he just fills the time with like just cash.
Bottom of the
What
barrel.
would be the equivalent of his Al Pacino's Dunkachino?
Oh my god. You know we don't
Daniel
talk about that.
Day's cream pie. Anyway, let's move
Jesus.
swiftly on. Uncut Gems. If you got Netflix, which I'm sure many of you do, just dial that in. It's a really...
Netflix is coming with the goods, man. I have been...
I said that
absolutely
to
killed
Ben.
it in the past year.
Yeah, I said, like, why the fuck am I going to the cinema? Like, I just dialed in.
Keep going to the cinema, George.
Yeah,
What do you mean by you're not going to the cinema?
Yeah.
When was the last time you went to go to the cinema?
Oh, I saw
but
the
I mean,
Lighthouse.
Yeah,
like,
right,
a
to
week
that point,
ago.
I like over the last year, or I mean, certainly at this time last year, Ben, your opinion on Netflix was pretty sour.
Mm.
And it has been pretty interesting to watch how that has turned. Not like your opinion, but just like the way that Netflix has obviously become a bit more of a tour de force in terms of like the critical response. Not just like they've always had that kind of
Extremely dominant market share.
yeah, but they're coming up with like actual quality products.
Yeah,
now.
they seem to have really put to bed that argument of like, you know, can these be considered real films? Can we put them up next to these theatrical ones? Like, you know, this year they've got 2 nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah,
which is
and
insane.
they were theatrical releases simply because they had to be. Like that's not where they made their money. That's not where they really made their like, you know, it's pretty wild.
That's interesting to cast your mind back because that was a conversation, you know.
Well, I mean,
Can
you know, the year
Cloverfield
before
Paradox
Cloverfield
stand
Paradox
with
and Bright. Yeah.
it's been a journey.
Yes. I just want to say I'm still watching HBO's The Outsider and loving it more and more each episode. I just watched episode 4 most recently.
What's his name?
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman.
and Ben Mendelsohn. And Cynthia Erivo, who I didn't even recognize at first. She's that amazing kind of new actress who was in Widows and a couple other things recently.
Okay, which one in Widows was she?
She was the late addition to the group, the kind of tougher woman.
Oh, yeah.
She was like the last one to join their little troupe. Yes, absolutely. Really enjoying the show. I hope it sticks
This is
the
the
landing.
Stephen King one, right?
Yeah. Really cool. And also I watched last night with a friend, potentially my favorite movie of last year, Wounds, starring Armie Hammer.
Oh, again, round 3.
Round 3, yeah.
Round
I can't get
3.
enough of this movie. I absolutely adore it. And unfortunately, the response to it is very divisive. A lot of people think it's awful, which I don't usually get that much with the movies I love. Generally, they're at least kind of critically
I'm a
adored.
really good pick for these things.
No. I mean, less charitably, you could just say I'm an absolute fucking sycophant. And I'm just like, yeah, I think you'll find the critics. The Rotten Tomatoes score on this is very impressive, which is not actually the case, but it does generally kind of align that way. But yeah, this one was really divisive, along with a few other kind of horror movies I like lately. But I can't get enough of it.
What did your
really
buddy think?
He's a little less into horror movies, and he definitely appreciated the atmosphere of it, which I think is such a strength of that movie.
What has that been the best viewing of it? Third time through.
I would say yes.
Nice. End conversation.
Yes.
Yeah,
conversation
I
stopper.
like the fact because I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as you did, but the fact that you keep harping on about it, I'm like, does this demand
did
a
I miss
second
something?
viewing, sir?
You watched part 2, right?
Yet to be determined. Yeah,
What?
the bit after the credits roll.
I love that movie. If anyone else out there has seen that and really likes it, let me know because I want some backup in this fight.
Yeah, let us know, people. Did anyone watch anything else of note?
No, I finished up episodes.
Oh,
I highly recommend
Episodes of what?
it. No, it's called episodes. You son of a...
Wait, what's
I
that?
highly recommend it.
Matt LeBlanc.
Matt LeBlanc. Really nice little tie-in. It's 5 seasons. Like nice little circular story.
Feels planned out nicely.
It does. Yeah, just a really, really cute little sitcom.
Nice. I must definitely check that out. We got some Super Bowl trailers to wind down, top to bottom, fam.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hit it up because there's some big ones for 2020.
Do you want to lead the way, George? You never get to run the show.
I'm gonna run the show.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
Are you
dun.
taking my trailer time? How?
Well, you were taking my news time, so I think the only way to settle this is George takes all the
There you
toys.
All right. So, glasses. We have a really interesting one. We have Wandavision.
Oh God, he's floundering! Oh no!
It's a combination.
We put him on the spot. What have you done, Ben?
The gravitas of the number of characters in this trailer.
Right.
What trailer?
Wandavision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and of course Loki.
So this is like the Marvel Expanded Universe Disney Plus trailer.
This is entering the zeitgeist for everyone now.
I didn't
You know,
expect
for
to be
those-
seeing any footage from any of these, let alone all of them, so quickly.
I gotta say, this has really brought me around because
This trailer is fucking awesome.
from a concept level, I was. This didn't feel as though it was going to be enough to really attract my attention. Post me getting rid of Disney Plus. I felt okay, I'll come to this later. Like when it's all out, I'll watch it.
That struck me as very odd. Just because,
I think
in my own mind, I'm like, I'm watching this shit the second it releases.
I mean,
100%.
without having seen anything, I think that after Mandalorian had come out, I was a bit lackluster on that, like just kind of that dip in the middle of the season. It struck me as dip.
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 Come on.
It kind of struck me as not having been worth the journey, particularly coming off the coattails of Watchmen, which was definitely worth the week-to-week journey. So I think I was a little bit sour on that concept, but having seen the trailer for this, I am so on point.
On point?
You're on
On
point.
point.
You're on
You're
point.
always on point, Connor.
I'm on point. Fuck the trailer. Like, that was all even bullshit.
No,
That
I
wasn't
feel
a
like
trailer,
this
Connor,
is
that was
on
just a
point.
mirror.
Yeah, fucking hell. I feel like this is on point. Like I feel like I'll be there day one.
Dude, I was very impressed with the selection of the sound design at the beginning. I thought that was really
Interesting.
crunchy and digital and different. And just the opening shot.
I love the
Falcon
sound editing, to be honest.
You like the sound mixing? I thought
Editing,
the mixing was on
yeah.
point. The shield, Falcon coming in and doing it, was very, very well done. And and the production value seems there across all of these.
Very much so.
It seems sharp. It seems up there with the rest of the MCU. It doesn't feel like, for better or worse, Daredevil and Jessica Jones, they had their own look. This looks elevated.
Look, she's
from
flying off screen.
Jump.
But this, however, is $25 million an episode, which at 6 episodes means they are pretty much just feature productions.
Out of these three, which are you most excited for?
It's got to be WandaVision. I mean, this looks
yeah.
so trippy and bizarre, and they're clearly working it to have so many ramifications for the MCU largely going forward.
I'm just so curious. It reminds me of something out of Evangelion or an anime. What they're doing with WandaVision, it's really out there and
cool, man.
and fresh. So
I'm super excited.
And I've been saying for years, like people say that the MCU spans genres. It doesn't. It's all superhero movies with a slight spin on them in maybe different directions. And I've been saying, man, I wish they would do like a Vision and Scarlet Witch, like romantic comedy sort of thing. And they're literally making like a sitcom scenario out of it, which it's going to be so interesting to see how they work with
Yeah,
that.
I'm really excited for that.
Did you see somebody mapped out the different sitcoms?
It's like
It could
I Love
be-
Lucy and
could
bit of
be
Brady
aping.
Bunch.
Yeah, Roxanne or Roseanne, sorry.
Roseanne.
Roxanne!
And also we
You
see
know
briefly that they have 2 children in one of them, which is huge in terms of comics lore, because you've probably even heard of the House of M crossover event in the comics. That's basically when Scarlet Witch had like manifested into reality children for her and the Vision, Wiccan and Speed, I think they were called, and eventually realized that they didn't actually exist. So her children kind of essentially died, and she went insane, and she's like an Omega level mutant. So she warped all of reality for the entire Marvel universe. So I think they could be leading into something that might be how she ties into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Dope.
And furthermore to that, I think they'll also be addressing this multiverse and time travel nonsense from Endgame with Loki, because we see in his one brief shot that he's in what looks like a prison uniform that says TVA on it, which in the comics is the Time Variance Authority. So maybe he's getting tracked down for fucking around with time and space and stuff, which apparently is what his show's going to be about, which is pretty interesting.
That sounds very, very, very well done.
Yeah, if they actually do address some of the kind of lingering threads from Endgame, I think that'd be really cool, because, man, they opened up a whole can of worms with all that stuff.
And that was something I think we all found a little bit irritating in a way. Where the fuck's your Loki gone? But if they do it in a satisfying way,
I
and
didn't
make
find that
sense of it.
irritating, but
I found it irritating.
Yeah.
It was very like in a movie that
Unclear.
was, yeah, I mean, that point specifically, in a movie that was so about celebrating everything that had come before and led to this point, it's like, oh, but we've got more stuff on the way, guys. It's like, stop trying to sell me stuff. I'm already here 3 times in one day.
Yeah.
Anyway, this looks amazing, all of it.
We are dialed in with our Disney Plus subscriptions, correct, Connor? Next up, Black Widow with again a really crunchy
Sound
digital
design.
sound design that I thought was very, very interesting. Some new footage here and there.
The visuals, I take it or leave it. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. But yeah, sound design, sound mixing, whatever you want to call it. Fucking on point.
It's well put together. It's a really, like, they really made use of that. Like, this is a Super Bowl TV spot. We've got to get in there quick and kind of just grab people. I'm like, this worked better than most of these did.
We hear Captain Russia's final form scream in this.
I don't know what that is. I love it though.
I hope that is David Harbour like screaming or something like
better
that.
be in the movie,
think
yeah.
that'd
I
be
hope they
absolutely
bring some
fucking
context
fantastic.
to that.
No context. He just does it every fight that he walks into.
This, for some reason, got me more excited for this piece. I don't know. The last trailer kind of underwhelmed me. Maybe I'm becoming more accustomed to what direction they're going with this. But it's looking solid.
I'm so into this movie, and I don't know why. It just looks like different ground for the MCU on some level, or even if it is more like a throwback to Winter Soldier or something. But I just this cast and this setting, I think looks really cool and different for them.
Yeah. Alrighty. Next up, the tidal wave of Disney, Mulan, the live action. Something that you've been really looking forward to, Connor, because this is kind of what you want from these live action movies.
Yeah, they've taken everything that I've hated about things like Lion King and chucked it, which I think is fantastic. They're trying to reimagine, add value, produce something different while still
make it feel more authentic and historic. You know, it feels like it's trying to.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
yeah, it's obviously it's got the waifu kind of vibe to it, but it also feels like they're trying to make it like live action, real, tangible.
I just want to confirm that you said waifu and not waifu.
Yeah, waifu.
Okay, good.
I heard that as well. I was just going to let that slip.
Waifu.
It took me a second. I'm like, I didn't see that trailer.
No, like for me, this is there is a reason why this is live action, right? You know, this wouldn't be the same if it was animated. This particular version of the story. So I think that's really cool. They're taking that medium and they're telling it in a way where that medium makes sense. And that's something that I didn't really like about Lion King, because that story doesn't make sense in that medium.
And
So-
it's a a bold and interesting choice because Mulan is not one of the more beloved of those that era of Disney movies, but it still is very popular among people. And to take away the things that are greatest about it, all of the cool songs, the comedy, Eddie Murphy is a little dragon. I think people kind of really, that's the stuff that stands out about that movie. And to really create something that can stand on its own legs is what they should be doing with all of these. This feels like it's the first one since Cinderella to actually take a stab at, like you said, kind of adding some value in its own way.
Yeah, bringing something fresh to the table.
Mm.
I think you said it well there.
Mm.
More so than Beauty and the Beast.
Hey, what if Belle had a plague background story about her parents?
Like really,
that was really cool. I like that part.
So this is something very interesting. I asked you guys whether this was a co-production. 'Cause normally, films that are kind of Chinese or China centric are co-produced by Chinese companies,
or even China adjacent. Like we've seen plenty of MCU movies that have like one scene set in China, and it's like
and that's very much about like opening up that market. I think that China's fairly restrictive with what they allow into
and
to be shown there.
Chucking in some Chinese superstars.
I'm just looking at this. I don't think that it is co-produced by a Chinese company.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware. So at least on Wikipedia, the production company is Walt Disney Pictures, but Jason T. Reed Productions and Good Fear. And I'm just looking through that. I don't think either of those are.
Yeah,
I might be wrong. If anyone
companies.
knows, in my 2 seconds of research, I don't think they are. But if anyone knows, that's big to have this movie not co-produced by a Chinese production.
Yeah, interesting. I guess maybe they didn't feel the need because it is so Chinese outwardly. It's going to make $1 billion over there anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, it like I said, it's more about just gaining access or like opening the doors. China's really selective with what they allow. I mean, there's a recent story with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood not being shown in China because
the Bruce Lee scenes.
Well, the Bruce Lee scenes and there's some censoring that goes on if they want to be have things shown in China. So yeah, like I said, it's just very interesting that there's no
could indicate some kind of deregulation. Who knows? Which
I'm gonna guess that it's just Disney being a fucking powerhouse and saying this is our property. We're not gonna
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
It's really interesting. Anyways.
Disney. Will it have a 10 billion year in 2020? No. It won't.
No.
Don't count on it. Next up, F9, the Fast Saga. Is that really F9, the Fast Saga? That's the name of this movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're getting
Then
weird
they're
with
going to
it.
get away with it. This movie's going to make a mozza. But like that, I think that
100%.
naming convention or what,
They've
not even
never-
the
they
convention,
have
what they're
never-
doing here, bad.
No, I love that
name.
they change it up every single
But
time.
yeah,
it's like a new
there's no
franchise.
consistency.
That's fine.
There's no consistency.
The
There's no
convention is
kind
there
of
is
like
no consistency. But like F9, the Fast Saga, like no.
Okay, can we do it?
it's no better than anything else.
The Fast and the Furious. Too
Wait,
Fast, Too Furious.
the third
Tokyo
one,
Drift.
Tokyo Drift.
Fast and Furious.
Fast 5,
Fast 5. Furious 6.
Furious
pretty sure.
6.
The Fate of the Furious is 8. So what's 7? Shit, we're so close.
The Fast and the Furious.
That's
No,
the
that was
first one.
4. That was 4.
No, it's just Fast and Furious, isn't
Fast,
it? Or is that the
Fast
first one?
and Furious, I think was 4.
Right in with what the seventh one is.
Dude, see, this
It's
is what I mean,
it's Fast,
man.
Furious.
This is what I mean.
Fast 5, Furious 6.
The seventh
Seven
one.
Fury car. Vin Diesel. Well, listen, let's just talk
I'm gonna
about
look it up.
F9. We definitively know Rock or Jason Statham.
Mhm.
This is Vin Diesel's property back in his hands.
And Han, baby, justice for Han.
Justice for Han.
Fucking hell,
Very
man.
interesting. And you mentioned they referenced the hashtag there.
Yeah, justice is coming is the kind of the tagline at the end there. One of the many taglines in this bloody
Very
trailer.
smart.
But
So-
yeah, because that's been trending for years. Justice for Han.
Yeah.
After he
fan
was
favorite,
killed in a post credits, or they recontextualized a post credit scene.
He died in
Tokyo Drift.
In Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
But because he was so popular in Tokyo Drift, they brought him back, or didn't bring him back, but they had him in Fast 5, which was technically a prequel to Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
And
Was
then,
it? Really?
Yeah, it's oh fuck, man.
Yeah.
This whole thing is just.
Listen, he's coming back and everyone's happy. That's the bullet points of it. This looks like a mammoth film. What did we say? Six odd movies in here.
Yeah.
Like, tons of locations, tons of action. Looks like everything that these kind of films should be. I don't know why. I'm kind of pumped for this.
Have you liked any of the last ones?
No.
This was an
hate them all.
absolute roller coaster for me because the first half of this trailer I hated.
Well,
I
you
was
watched
not
the
excited.
Super Bowl spot and you hated that.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because that was where they stuck all the plot stuff, and they're not good at plot. And then the second half is where they just ramped up the dubstep and the fucking music and all the ridiculous shit started happening. And
good tune.
And the more ridiculous they went, the more I was like, fuck it, they don't give a fuck anymore. I'm on board.
Do you think on any level this isn't enough of a step forward into nonsense? Like, they're not doing space yet. There's no time travel. They're not superheroes. Like, this is just more of the same kind of big car stuff.
I mean, he swings a car.
Yeah, no, but I would have expected it, honestly, by this point to be a little further.
John Cena, baby.
No,
John
John
Cena's
Cena is a poor man's The Rock. I like him, but I mean, it's just in this. It's very clearly.
If anything, he's a rich man's Rock, man.
Can't wait till we hear about all the clashing egos behind set with John Cena and Vin Diesel and Tyrese.
Oh, I'm just
But
glad
not
to see
No,
Your
Tyrese
back
has a
was on the
job.
ground for 2 seconds, dude.
I'm just glad to see Tyrese working. And I think that
And
man-
Sure, he's
Ludacris
very
as
glad
well.
as well.
Ludacris, I just feel
Ludacris
like
is
doesn't give a
great.
fuck.
He's so good.
Luda needs a paycheck.
I want to watch his
When is
spin-off
he-
film.
Is he pumping out albums? Like,
Does he
Ludacris.
need to? I'm pretty sure he's
I
meant
remember
to.
his album Chicken and Beer Man 2004. That was some good shit, dude.
Um,
That was some
sorry,
good
I'm just
shit.
gonna interrupt because I figured out the
What was the 7th one?
No, we fucked up. So it's Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7. The Fate of the Furious is 8, and
Fuck
then
off the 6th
F9.
one. That's a terrible name.
Because it's
Yeah,
well, I mean,
see? The ones
see,
that don't have a weird thing are the bad ones. This one's
I
good.
mean,
It's different.
there is no discernible naming convention for this. There's also an untitled 10th film, which is meant to release April 2nd, 2021. And there's another spin-off film, which is just called Untitled Female-Led Film.
Ronda Rousey's back,
Fucking
baby.
how good.
So quickly, what do you guys think the 10th one's going to be called?
Oh, God, it's anyone's guess, right?
FX.
Furious 10, 10 Furious, Fate 10, Furious 10.
I'm going to stick with FX over that.
FX, FX. That's it. You nailed it.
Hmm.
I endorse that one.
Anyway, this movie looks fun, and I'll probably like it as much as
I know what.
all of these, except
I
Hobbs
feel
and Shaw,
like
which I
I'm gonna
really
enjoy
hated.
this more than I have the last bunch.
You know what?
We've reviewed 3 of those, I think, on the pod,
Is that including Hobbs and Shaw?
including Hobbs and Shaw, and I haven't enjoyed a single one of them. And for some reason, I think
I thought you enjoyed Fast 8, the last one.
No,
No.
Are you sure?
that was with the remote control cars.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Listen, go back and listen to the review. Maybe I did. Report in. Tell me.
I think I've enjoyed them all, except for Hobbs and Shaw to some degree.
And there was
Next
even
up-
stuff about Hobbs and Shaw
Yeah.
to like. But
Yeah.
Next up, Jimmy Bond. He's back in business. No time to die.
You know what? I'm really excited for this. I have no reason to be.
No, you
But-
absolutely, because it goes good, bad, and
Yeah,
we're on the good again.
We're on the good one.
We're back.
Oh, hell yeah. So everything's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
So it's going to be awesome. Like, we have literally nothing to worry about.
Can you imagine if they
Totally.
tie the bow on this with like the good, bad
Yeah.
continuation?
We're just like, it's going to be, fuck, this trailer looks so awesome. Can't wait. It's going to be sick.
What was it? What was
Good
the
bad,
text
good
in the
bad.
trailer? It was like the 25th film will change everything or something. I'm like,
Oh, well,
Alright.
I mean, let's not.
I thought the 24th one already did.
no, that was just a bad James Bond film. That's
No,
standard.
because Christoph Waltz was behind everything, bro.
Blofeld.
I was
He was
not
behind
entirely sure
everything.
what was going on.
No, he
with,
was the bad guy. That's essentially what the film was saying.
God, do you remember anything about Spectre? Such a forgettable film.
The largest explosion in film history, I think.
Bautista's
Is it
in
really?
Yeah,
What's
unnecessarily. It was just like Blofeld's place. blowing up for 5 minutes.
Oh, the
The opening
big
in Mexico
space?
was really cool.
I didn't like the effects on. I felt
Yeah.
really green screeny.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of that.
No Time to Die.
It wasn't a slight on you.
I did the effects in that scene.
scene. You look so offended by the fact that I didn't enjoy the opening scene of the Bond.
Listen, what
Little known credit for you.
This is not really getting anything. I'm not really excited for this whatsoever.
I know my mind is wandering so far on these trailers that every trailer is harping on so much about like Leia Sedu's character's secret and that it's going to destroy him. And all I've thought since the last movie is that she looks like his granddaughter. Like, that's the weirdest casting for a Bond girl I've ever seen. She looks so young. And I'm like, are they actually going in that direction with this? Because I can't imagine any other secret that anyone would care about enough to be like, oh, that actually would ruin him.
Dude, I cannot follow the plot, nor do I need to follow the
You
plot.
shouldn't need to.
James Bond just happens and it's another one, and there'll be another 30 more over the rest of my lifetime.
These movies got to stop
Here's the next
referencing
one.
each other.
What's
No one
the
remembers the last
What's the
ones.
movie that is the twist in it? Oh yeah, okay. I actually don't want to ruin it now.
Mm.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
So I think you're the most excited for this.
I am, but
So-
I've got a soft spot for.
Okay, every time I see the trailer on the big screen, I'm like, this looks
Oh,
awesome.
it looks
Yeah.
beautiful.
That bit where he jumps that bike up those stairs.
And I keep thinking Skyfall, because that's honestly, I really, really, really enjoy that film.
I just really want to hear the theme tune.
Billie Eilish.
That should be interesting.
And I want to hear Hans Zimmer. Next up, we have some more military-based movie content coming at you. Top Gun
That's
Maverick.
what the people want.
This is the sequel to the famous Top Gun. How many? It's 40 years? What, 40 years later? God, 35.
It's nuts.
The guy who did Tron Legacy and Oblivion is directing this. And I think he has got such a... You can say what you want about the quality of his films from a narrative storytelling point of view, but in terms of
Visually,
visuals, effects, and
crisp.
and camera, it just looks fantastic. And
Yeah.
this film, this trailer he seems to be delivering the goods again.
That is why I will go to this film, is for the craftsmanship, for the visuals, really, because it looks, everything looks in camera, everything looks really well filmed. Yeah, if nothing else, I think I'll get a kick out of that.
Joseph Kosinski, that's his name. That's the director.
Yeah, I think this was like the most underwhelming trailer in terms of just pure content. Like I couldn't
there's
tell you one
nothing
thing
to
about it, but at the same time, it's like one of the ones I want to most see on the big screen. Like as soon as it comes out, because I know it's just going to be
Wild.
quite the thrill ride.
Yeah.
Do you guys think, from a narrative storytelling perspective, this is going to deliver?
Look, I saw Top Gun a couple of years ago for the first time on the big screen in 3D. I loved the hell out of it. I couldn't tell you one thing about the plot. And now,
But do you think they'll have the same kind of vibe? The sort of
Look, I think that
I
you're
have
talking
no
about
idea.
a property that is 40 years later, that is a really massive pop culture, I guess, icon, or it's just massive within the
extremely
zeitgeist.
iconic.
most
yeah.
people would have seen this movie purely through osmosis.
Yeah,
Like,
there's endless pop culture references to
the memes
to Top Gun. So look, I think that this movie has everything stacked against it. Like this should be a disaster. In terms of like narrative, in terms of plot, in terms of like trying to follow up the legacy of that kind of that film.
it is like, I hope they didn't spend too much money on it. And if they really,
definitely did.
if they really didn't, then it might do okay.
Yeah.
Definitely did.
But yeah,
It's-
who's going to run out to see this?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you'll get is, at best case scenario, you're gonna get the new Blade Runner 2049. Like it's gonna be it's
People
gonna
will
look
like
great.
it and no one will see it.
Yeah, exactly. The people that go out and see will be like, "Oh, it was great," and everyone else is gonna be like, "Okay."
Next up, kudos to Blumhouse's media buying team, because this is, I think, a good get. The Invisible Man, coming from horror aficionados.
Yeah, this is a weird choice on their part. Like, I mean,
Just quickly. Sorry, written and directed by Lee Wanell, who did
Upgrade.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
Mm.
Aussie director. So that's really cool to see.
Very cool. This looks sick.
I'm
on board.
I'm not dissing that anyway. But this is
Go
like
back to Canada.
yeah, this is made for us, right?
100%.
This seems like a really expensive way to get something out about a movie that doesn't really feel like it fits the criteria for spending that much on marketing. Like horror is a bit of an offshoot brand anyways. If you're into horror, you're probably on top of this anyways. I don't know. This just seems like a very strange move. Does that not strike you as odd? Because like
agree.
you're kind of preaching to the choir at this point.
I think a big
completely
part
agree.
of the appeal certainly is Elizabeth Moss in the lead, because The Handmaid's Tale is kind of a juggernaut in terms of like a pop culture presence. So I think getting her out in front of eyes in
front
something,
of the family,
and
Super Bowl.
after Us as well, she was in that.
But I feel like horror is not one of those things where a big name is really going to draw you to the property.
Not a big name, but just in terms of getting attention, because it
is
does happen, like with Jordan Peele movies. Like they can be big box office successes, more so, more often than they used to be. I think.
And it's The Invisible Man. Everyone knows that. It's an old story. It's like, here's the next interpretation.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is all just wishful thinking, but I think the potential's there. And I think this movie looks really good.
I just think
they've taken it at an angle that I think is really cool and certainly very, again, for us, perfect. Oh yeah, like I'm really excited for this property. I just in terms of spending that much in terms of marketing dollars, I don't see what they're going for. Maybe they're thinking like Blumhouse has enough of a following.
It could be
or
a
enough
test.
Of
This could be a test.
Also,
they've gotten to that point now where they're like, let's shake things up and
let's see
give
if
this
we
a
can
crack.
bring this into the more
But
mainstream.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Like, this is an interesting budget, like $9 million to be putting on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say, like, as a Blumhouse horror feature, it must be cheap as shit. So getting that much exposure for a really cheap horror movie, that's actually a cool move.
It's going to be $2 million, $5 million for that media space. So they
maybe they just had a bunch of budget left over.
yeah.
It's like, oh, we don't actually have to have an actor.
God damn you! I was gonna say, it's like, what about all that budget that they spent on editing the guy out? Like, oh, wait a minute.
I'm glad we're all on top of this. Like,
we are on point.
We are on board.
next up, something
To the
that
point.
I'm not as excited for: A Quiet Place Part 2.
Bleh.
Sheesh. Halfway through this trailer, I was just kind of like, the first one was cool. Let's just leave it. Let's leave it at that.
Also,
let's not make this the place of verse.
If they called it A Quieter Place, I'd be a little more on board. But they didn't. They call it Part 2. I hate when they call things Part 2 that was never a Part 1.
Yeah.
It's the second part. We meant to
No,
do
I know.
this.
I don't mind that because like The Conjuring was Conjuring Part 2, correct? See, and maybe The Conjuring was going to fuck out. And they was like, hey.
Sorry, the Conjuring was going to fuck out?
Yeah, like it wasn't going to go.
What in that?
Sorry.
And in box
Let me
office
say
news,
it.
The Conjuring has fucked out.
What does that even mean?
Was not as successful.
How'd you go into that job interview? I fucked out.
I mean,
You
it's
did
not
what?
like it's not unclear. Anyway, over to you, Connor, because you love this shit.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Quiet Place. I do feel as though this is a little bit unnecessary, but until I'm proven wrong, I'm going to put a little bit of faith in John Krasinski.
And it does look like they're going in a different direction. It doesn't look like a remake of the first film, certainly.
It doesn't.
It does look a little trite that they're doing the whole, like, I don't know, humans are the real monsters, if they do to go down that road.
It's
But
exactly what I was going to say. Like, it is a bit of a worn path in terms of these kind of post-apocalyptic stories. Hopefully they do something interesting with it. Hopefully they do something a little bit unique. And it's not just cookie cutter. I mean, if it's a well-made film, if the craft is on the same level as A Quiet Place 1, and it is a little bit of a cookie cutter story, I'm probably still going to enjoy it, just not as much as I would if it was, not cookie cutter.
yeah, I could really... I was going to say I could take or leave this, but I just want to leave it.
Yeah, I just want to leave
Let
this
it
behind.
be.
I think you've got a bit of a vendetta against A Quiet Place simply because it...
Because he likes it.
No. Because I remember specifically when the trailer first came out, it was just off the back of watching. Was it the Joel Edgerton film?
It Comes at Night.
Maybe, and then you kind of felt like this was like a kind of a cheap knockoff Hollywood version
I
of
don't
it.
think that necessarily, but
There was a film that you felt like this was kind of the
worst
Yeah.
version of maybe. Yeah, well, yeah, just because I didn't like it all that much. No, I like it, but that's it.
Anyways,
Next up, we got Sonic the Hedgehog
shit.
Hey.
with a bunch of people that I don't know.
Thank God they reanimated him, and now it looks great.
I'm so glad. I'm just like, I'm so glad they're faithful to my childhood.
Fuck the internet. I prefer he was the ugly one. I don't like this new
Little
design.
rat shit.
And the ugly one was at least
Like
like, what the
The
fuck?
heroin addict.
Yeah, and this one's
Sonic
like,
the
it looks
Hedgehog.
kind of like Sonic, but worse, I think.
No, I appreciate it. I know it took down
It
a
looks
whole...
better. You can admit that it looks better than the
It
other
took
one.
down
No,
a whole production house.
I mean, no, sorry. I mean, it looks worse than the actual Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
But
looks
it
worse
looks
than the
better
regular
than-
Sonic design.
But at least the other one was so far removed that you're like,
Yeah, like I didn't really
This
associate
is-
it as much as Sonic.
yeah.
But
Okay,
I
I get what you're
mean,
saying.
this content is not designed for me. You know, this is for an 8 and under. It's.
do you know what
just
it is designed for? Or what is designed for me? Is Jim Carrey.
Okay.
Just edit out everything else and just give me the Jim Carrey shit.
He seems great. He does a great Dr. Robotnik in that first line he has. He sounds really similar to
I
the
did
actual character.
actually. Truth be, I did have a little chuckle.
You had a laugh. I can never tell with you how sincere your laughter is, though.
Me neither.
So, 'cause sometimes
Trust
your
me.
laugh means this is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think my
Like-
joke was that bad, George.
He stares into your soul and he's just like,
Ha!
Another one I don't know how much we'll have to say about Minions: The Rise of GruÂ.
How many Despicable Me Minions films have you guys seen?
I think I've seen Despicable Me 2 and Minions.
Okay,
I
wow.
think I've seen Minions.
I've seen Despicable Me 1 and that's it.
Look, credit where credit is due. I think that Despicable Me 1 and even 2 are good films. The rest of this series,
Generous.
2 wasn't bad.
No, but it wasn't great.
I mean, all right, can we all agree that 1 was good? Like that was.
I haven't seen it.
Wait,
And I
sorry,
don't
what?
remember. I'm
I
sure
just announced.
Oh.
it was kind of fine. I thought it didn't do enough with its premise. It kind of reminded me a lot of Megamind. Like it didn't write out its premise hard enough.
Credit where credit's due, though, they have made a juggernaut out of this thing.
Credit where
Oh.
credit is due. They have made many billions of dollars. This is one of the highest grossing franchises in history.
It has to be, right?
Minions
No, it
are
is.
everywhere.
It absolutely is, yeah.
Yeah.
Every Facebook feed of
merchandising,
every
like-
auntie that you haven't seen in 3 years is just covered in minions.
Minion
Oh my
everything.
god! There was
Marketing
a
genius.
period, probably about 3 years ago, where that was so, like, true.
Mm.
Like it. Ugh.
Became
There's like a
Gru.
game where you could type in most random words into Google Images and you'd get like minion memes
Yeah.
regarding everything.
I can't stand it. And I don't need this trailer. I don't
It's
need
like
this
baseline
movie.
humor. It's
Get
just
out of here.
lowest common.
But you know what?
denominator.
That's what exactly. That's what I say to myself. I say, George, listen, take a moment, breathe, stare at the wall. This isn't built for you. This is for a young child. You're a 30-year-old man with a job and have to pay bills. Don't worry about Minions. Don't let it consume up too much of your day.
I'm a
And then you just-
30-year-old
that talk
man.
track repeats in your head all night as you rock back and forth.
I'm a 30-year-old man
Fucking
and I don't mind minions. I think they're kind of funny, but they can't pronounce banana.
For 20 seconds.
Yeah, I like the trailer. I thought the trailer for the first Minions movie was pretty cool. I never watched the movie in the end, but I thought the trailer was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But this is just bringing it right back to the Despicable Me franchise. Again, it's coming full circle. I'm like, whatever.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Next up, Amazon Prime's Hunters.
I'm weirdly fascinated by this.
This looks wicked.
Al Pacino is unrecognizable in this.
His wig or whatever. You know, I'm the wig guy on this podcast, and I fucking approve.
It's crazy. He's like aged like 30 years since his last movie, The Irishman. It's so
crazy,
weird.
that.
It's insane.
And
Huh.
yeah, I was about to- look at him fake laughing at your shit joke.
But yes, EP by Jordan
fascinated.
Peele.
How do you watch all these TV shows? Like, how is somebody supposed to?
Get
There's
up.
so many great things coming out.
Do you know what? HBO is the one that gets me. Like, I just don't have enough time and I don't have access.
I want to watch
See,
that. I want to watch that Stephen King one.
And I have access to HBO now, so I'm just like,
Wait,
how
you
can I
do?
watch anything else?
Is that on Netflix?
I've got access to everything you can
How do you
access
get
now in
HBO
Australia.
now?
Foxtel.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
You've got Foxtel.
Hmm.
I absolutely refuse to pay $25 fucking a month. Fuck you, Foxtel.
No, me too. Don't get the impression that I'm paying that. I've got a friend who's got it.
Yeah, he jacked him.
Who's
Next
your
up,
friend, and what multi-million-dollar company do they own?
I'll tell you later. It rhymes with Purdock.
next up, Fantasy Island. I've loved the look of this one from the first trailer, and I am still really liking the look of it. I think it's maybe going to be a bit cheesier than I expected, but it looks trippy, a little bit psychedelic. I always like this setting. We were talking about that Simpsons episode with Dr. Hibbert, and all that's what that's based off. And it's a fun setting, and they're playing with the convention. And
Are they really
think
playing
this
with the
looks good.
convention? Feels
Well, yeah,
pretty,
because
like-
it's based on an old TV show, of course, that was about kind of granting wishes and teaching people lessons, and it certainly wasn't a horror premise. But when you see it in action like this, it feels like it slips so naturally into that with the whole "be careful
it
what you
makes
wish for"
sense.
thing.
Like it's the natural progression.
Yeah, so this looks like it could very much be one of those truth or dare escape room type ones. Hopefully, it's kind of elevated above that.
That's what I mean. Like it feels as though it's on the precipice of just being another island where people get murdered.
Yeah, not that I've really watched any of those, and apparently they're not terrible. But yeah, I hope this one has some promise. I think.
Yeah. If nothing else, it's Blumhouse. Hopefully, they do something interesting with it.
Final trailer, Horse Girl. This is an indie piece that I was blown away by.
It's a cool trailer.
Amazing trailer.
I actually kind of left this off last week. It had just come out, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. It looks like it's about a horse
same.
girl.
It's Netflix,
but then
right?
then I actually checked it out today because I heard something about the genres it was straddling, and I'm like, okay, what's this about? And I watched the trailer. I'm like, this is really interesting.
Yeah, I am endlessly fascinated by things like schizophrenia and psychosis in general. It is a wildly misunderstood and endlessly terrifying disease.
I'm not convinced this movie is going to shed any actual light on the scientific side of things necessarily.
It almost certainly won't. But I mean, like, even just from a livability, like just like the kind of
Put you in the moment.
perspective, because I think that people think of people with schizophrenia in a very disjointed way, like it's crazy person and then it's kind of synonymous with schizophrenia, whereas like the actual disease can be subtle in ways that you don't think about. It can be really terrifying in ways that you don't think about, and I think that it's really good to have a character that is, and I'm assuming that this is what this is what it's about. It seems like it is.
Could just be an alien abduction.
Yeah,
maybe.
I know exactly right. A twist, but I like that it's kind of exploring that that side of it. It is in a lot. It is hereditary in a lot of cases. It and just to not have it painted as the crazy person in the corner, I think is just really fascinating.
Also, I'm assuming here that it's a Duplass Brothers production because it's said from the producers of The One I Love and Safety Not Guaranteed. And they always make some really interesting stuff. The One I Love is a movie I really highly recommend everyone check out. It's kind of this quaint, almost like comedy film that I still feel like is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen, and I'm not sure exactly why. I don't even want to delve into the premise. It's just
What's it called again?
weird. The One I Love.
The One I Love.
I think that's another Elizabeth Moss one actually. But yeah, their stuff is very off the beaten path.
Yeah, this trailer seemed to keep ramping up and changing direction. You had sort of initially kind of a quaint indie
Looks like
vibe,
a romantic comedy type thing.
and then it brings in these other elements with a lot of darkness to it.
Well, it pivots so hard halfway through, and it's just like, do you believe in alien abduction? I'm like, now you've got my attention.
And it feels very obtuse and interesting, and I was very impressed with this trailer. I very much look forward to it.
Nice.
Final one, just to jam in here. I think this is a good call, Connor. I'm assuming
It
this
wasn't
is
me.
you.
I think it's
oh,
What did I do?
The Dune logo, Denis
Ah.
Villeneuve's Dune
Or-
is coming soon.
Is it Dunk?
2021.
You looked at it right. It's just the same symbol rotated 4 times. So it's kind of Dunk.
I liked it.
It's wicked. It's a fucking sick minimalist design.
But
it does say Dunk.
Fucking wait for this movie.
I know.
I think this is going to be
I've
the
been
one,
waiting.
man. This is the one.
I
is
have
the
been
one.
waiting for a Dune remake I've never watched the original, but I read the books when I was a kid and really loved the books. And I've been waiting for them to put this on film for fucking ages. And I cannot tell you how happy I was when I found out it was
Denis.
Villeneuve that is going to be doing it. Like, that is, for me, I
Top
think
tier.
Villeneuve might be my favorite director of the last decade. If not, he's definitely like one of my top 5 of all time. I am so unbelievably, utterly impressed with his catalog.
He delivers the goods every time.
Oh, he's just so fucking good, man. And so I'm super excited that he's on this project. I cannot wait for this.
This is going to be so sick, man.
This is going to be so disappointing.
I'm just like,
We've hyped this up too high.
I cannot wait for this.
Yeah.
I mean, I rewatched 2049, probably in the last year or so.
Same on the big screen.
Same.
And it is such a fucking good film.
Not on the big screen.
The only criticism I have of it is that that revolt or revolution thing kind of pattered out or whatever. Apart from that,
It skims over pretty briefly, though.
yeah, I mean,
Doesn't
like,
drag it out too badly.
But just if he takes that level of filmmaking onto this, because the story's there, God, gushing a bit.
Could be the Star Wars for this century.
I hope it's not,
because
that
Star Wars
would-
hasn't been.
Yeah, I hope it's not, because that would imply that there's going to be like a whole saga, and I don't need that.
Well,
Dune is really good.
I guess I mean
Like
in terms
Children
of
of
the
Dune,
original
it kind of-
trilogy and the impact it had on people,
Yeah, okay.
not the legacy we're currently living through.
Do you think that there's there's even room for a Star Wars? All right, we're done. I've got a question of the week.
Okay.
Do you think? Sorry, that was a really. Do we want to talk about Dune anymore?
I thought your brain just shut up for a sec,
Yeah.
or mine did. I was
Yeah.
confused.
Do we want to talk about Dune?
No,
All right,
go for
yeah,
it.
because I've just thought of a good question of the week.
Get in there.
Do you think that there is room for a Star Wars of our generation, or even like or something similar?
It's called Avengers
And
Endgame.
Yeah, I would say the MCU is the closest to filling that role.
I mean, sorry for post now.
All right, I'm still going to say the MCU.
Yeah, that's fine.
Pre now.
And if there is, what form do you think it will take? Like, how do you think that'll work? Because I just feel like we're so saturated with content. We've got a Star Wars film, an Avenger film, a Thingo film coming out. Like, there's like 3 major franchises coming out a year type thing. Is there going to be
6.
like a defining, for the 2020s, let's say, for the generation that's coming up now? Is there going to be something that they collect figurines for, that they tell their kids about?
TikTok, the animated series.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be X-Men versus Marvel. I think they're going to build up the X-Men, and it's going to happen like
Versus
like
Marvel.
an Endgame. It's going to be neck level.
Yeah,
So
I
you think that MCU will be the Star Wars of?
I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to say the big IP. Will DC take the mantle? Unlikely. They'll have a few scattering successes, but is Aquaman, is Batman, is that going to be the next generation Star Wars? Hard to say. Really hard to say. It has to be something completely fresh and new. If it's not the MCU, I feel like it has to be something completely. It's going to have to be like James Cameron's Avatar. It's going to have to be something completely fresh and new.
Yeah, I guess that would be not in terms of actually having succeeded, but that would be comparable. I mean, it was the highest grossing movie of all time.
I mean, it
but
had
it
that
had no
same
impact.
lines
But
out
it
the
didn't really
door.
change the paradigm. Like, not in the same way that.
But what about 3D?
Yeah.
It did.
Ah,
It
yeah.
did with computer generated characters.
But I mean, you could make a very solid argument that you could give that mantle to Lord of the Rings, because that's what kind of kicked off that. Or I mean, like, there's other movies that I would probably
Our boy Jar Jar, no matter what you say, that's pretty incredible effects for 1999.
For 1999, yeah. Which makes it so weird that the next movie looks so bad in comparison.
What was the question again?
Do you think there's room for another Star Wars? Because Star Wars is so defining of that time.
Nothing will ever monopolize the public consciousness and global box office like Star Wars did. Absolutely. Because that movie was selling out cinemas for a year.
Yeah, it's so
As
saturated.
Force Awakens?
Huh?
As Force Awakens or the 1977 Star Wars?
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
There's no way that you'll look back at a... Because even if you think about it now, this will still be the year that the Skywalker saga ended. And so Avengers is not going to capture the consciousness in the same way because it's competing with a million other things.
I would still argue that the MCU is about as ubiquitous as Star Wars, or about as ubiquitous as anything nowadays can be, certainly.
Yeah. And the metrics lend itself to that notion.
I mean...
Yeah, it's up for the grabbing. It's
up for the grabbing.
Let's grab it, guys.
But
as long as we don't fuck it out.
I think that the MCU and Kevin Feige they've got their finger on the pulse, man. And I think it will gas out at some stage. Something else will take the mantle.
Hopefully.
But I just don't know if it's going to be as soon as some people suspect. Let us know what you thought of this week's trailers and this week's question of the week. Hit us up with a question for next week, and we'll be back. We'll be back, and it's going to be awesome.
We'll be talking about Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey. Harley Quinn review coming soon. It's going to be awesome. We've also got a new format coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. Not coming next week, though.
Yeah.
Very soon.
2022.
We keep promising it.
Stay tuned for it. See you, Connor.
Catch you.
See you, Ben A.
Bye.
Bye.